This video is taking you through how to build the Notetaker app, and it's an example of how to add a database to your Thinkable projects. It's an example of the concept of persistence. That's when you're able to store data either on your app or in the cloud, such that when you close your app or shut down a program, when you start it up again or open the app, the data will be available to you. And that's a contrast to transient data, which goes away when you close an app. So I've opened the template here, and I've already got the user interface built. So I'm going to go straight into the blocks. And the first thing that I'm going to work on is I just want to show you with an app with just as a comparison. I want you to build a basic app that does not use persistence, and that should give you an idea of the difference of, or just a very clear idea of the difference of how this works. So we're going to start off with a empty list here. We're going to call it notes, and we're going to actually add one other thing that seems a little superfluous, but it's necessary for this program, and that is we want to, when the screen starts, we also want to make sure that the list is empty, and that will make a little more sense when we get into the next part. So we'll set the notes, where we're at here, set notes to an empty list. Alrighty, we have this with those two pieces set, and we need to work with the submit button here. So when the submit button is clicked, we're going to actually append a list here. So we're going to find a way to add things to our list. We're going to insert an item, and actually we'll put it at the first position. And so the list that we're going to be using is notes, and we want to add whatever is in our text input from our notes. So we'll go text input, text, get text. So that means when we press the submit button for the list, which is the app notes, we're going to insert whatever that value is, and then we want to make sure that shows. So we'll go to the list viewer, which we have here. In the list viewer, set the text items to our new list, which is app notes. And we also want to do a little design feature here. We want to make sure that after we press submit, that the text field in the text input clears. So we'll go to text input, text, we'll set the text equal to this. It's a sort of an empty string. So let's test that out, see what that looks like. And so we have here our empty note, but we could add some things here. So hello, hi, how are you? So we added some new information that's stored into the list. The list is simply showing, or we set the list viewer equal to the list, and it's showing, and also our text input clears after each time we press submit, and it shows here in our list viewer. Okay, let's go on to the next part. Let's add some persistence to make this a little more complex. So what we want to be able to do is we're going to go to the design screen, and we want to add a local storage component. So there's a number of database features within Thinkable. We're going to just use local storage for now, and what this will do is it will store whatever information that we want to add into the app as it's really sort of housed in Thinkable and whatnot. So we'll get that going here, and then onto the block screen. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add to the submit button, and so we'll pull out the local storage save, and we need a key. So if you watched the previous video, you know a little bit about key value pairs. So we'll call this the key is note list, and the value that we want to store is our list, which is the app notes. We actually don't need to do anything more there, but we also want to do one more thing, which allows us to retrieve the information. So if we close things down, that we'd be able to retrieve the information. So we're actually going to take this out, pop it in the garbage there, and now what we want is the last part, which is the next part, which is getting the information. So we know the key, we're calling it note list, and we want to actually check for something that's kind of important to make sure that we know how to get started if there actually isn't a value called note list, or there aren't any specific information or values in there. So we want to put in this conditional, and we'll set up a basic logic conditional. As of the time of this video, there should be a technically an easier way to do this, but as of fall 2020, there's some sort of small error in Thinkable where it won't let us. I'll just show you. So under logic, we should just be able to pull out this block null, which indicates that there's no value present. But for whatever reason, we have to put it in the text form. So we'll do that. And then what we want to do, if no values come back, we want to make sure that we're setting our notes list or our notes list to empty, because that will be reflective that there's nothing there. Otherwise, we want to set the notes list to whatever the value that we stored that came back was. Here to add is the list viewer component, so that when we open the app, we can make sure that the list items that we have are already showing. So we'll just connect that with the notes. Why don't we test this out? Okay, so we know that our notes are already there. So we're opening it up, and it was able to pull from the database. So we have a couple notes. We can add more. Say Happy Tuesday. I don't know, something like that. What else could we put? Hello class. Anything silly, just to test this out, make sure it works. We can test it out even one more time, just to prove that our data is going to stay there. We can already see from the preview we have all of the items in there. Okay, one last thing we want to add on this app. So we've been able to add things to, we've been able to store data, we've been able to retrieve data, and the last thing we want to be able to do is actually clear our database. So we're going to go to the clear list button, and we'll pull this out. And the one last function that lives within our local storage is the remove. So we want to remove whatever values are sitting at the note list key, and after that we want to make sure we set our app notes to an empty list, and we want to make sure our empty list shows. So why don't we test this out one more time, so we can see we have all the data that we put in. Preview is a responsive app here, and we got all the stuff, and this time we just want to clear the list. And now our list is started over. So this was an introduction to using databases in Thunkable, the idea of persistence data. Good luck.